Hello there. Today I'm taking a look at a wine from southern Italy, most particularly from Campania, and this is Feudi di San Gregorio's Rubrato, and it's an Irpinia Aglianico. And Aglianico is the grape variety, and the vintage is 2018. So this particular producer, Feudi di San Gregorio, has actually played quite an important role in the Renaissance over the last 30 to 40 years in the wines of Campania, and in fact in southern Italy in general. The winery is located at the bottom of the Apennine Mountains in the province of Avellino, in a town called Sorbo Serpico. And essentially the winery has focused its attention on some of the quality local varieties that are native to this part of Italy, using modern technology to try and get the most out of them. And to this end, they've produced a range of very distinctive wines that have consistently produced good value for money in their respective categories, and they've gained international recognition for this. I think the Rubrato is one of the most widely available brands of Aglianico that you'll see, and this has led the winery to win quite a few awards. And for instance, in 2021 they're proud of the fact that they were in Wine and Spirits Top 100 Winery. The estate was established as recently as 1986, and this was two families from Irpinia who had this very firm belief that they wanted to showcase these local indigenous varieties and to use state-of-the-art technology to do this. The winery is currently owned by Antonio Capaldo, and he's also the winemaker there. They have 300 hectares of vineyards, and most of these are in locations that are above 300 metres above sea level. This is what's naturally quite a warm part of the world. We're inland from Naples, but the fact that we're up in the foothills of the Apennines gives that cooling influence. You get a good strong diurnal day-night temperature variation, enabling the fruit to obtain ripeness but still to retain good acidity through the fruit not getting too much heat on the vine. There's a diverse variety of soils, everything from volcanic ash, clays, limestone and sandstone. As you can imagine, in a hilly environment there are numerous microclimates and aspects, and these enable the winery to create a range of distinctive wines. One of their greatest treasures is the fact they have some of Italy's oldest Aglianico vines. Those probably don't go into this cuvee, but they have some 150-year-old Aglianico planted. So the grape varieties they concentrate on, as well as Aglianico, include Falanghina, Fiano d'Avellino and Greco di Tufo. The vineyards they have are scattered throughout Irpinia, so Taurasi, for instance, Sorbo Serpico, where the winery is, and of course Tufo. Now the winery, as I say, state-of-the-art modern winery, designed by a Japanese architect called Hiraku Mori, and the labels are depicting mosaics of the Galla Placida in Ravenna. Recently in 2021, the winery received B Corp certification for their commitment to environmental and community well-being, and they were also certified by Equalitas, and this certification acknowledged their work on social and environmental projects and economic sustainability. This particular wine is a relatively inexpensive wine. It's fermented entirely in stainless steel tanks. Maceration lasts between 2 and 3 weeks. The fruit, I'm assuming, has come from a variety of the vineyards mentioned, hence I can't actually detail soil types or anything like that. And aging goes on for 8 to 10 months, but in stainless steel. There's no oak going into this wine whatsoever, and it's then allowed to age in bottle. There are more recent vintages than 2018 available on the market, so this has had a little longer than some examples will have had in bottle. But let's have a look at it, shall we, and see if it really justifies the reputation that the winery has gained for itself. Looking at the wine's colour, first of all, I'd say that it's a deep dark colour. It's not opaque, but it's a red-black. There's no purple note in there whatsoever. And that's possibly a function of the fact that it's had a little bit of age. It's also, I think, a function of the wine's acidity. If the pH is too high, that you'll get more of a purple colour. So I'm suspecting this is going to have a good freshness to it. As I'm swirling it, the wine has 13.5% alcohol, and it's very happily forming tears, quite substantial tears on the side of the glass there. Let's see what make of the aromas, shall we? Gosh, the aromas are very savoury, they're quite developed. There are sort of earthy notes, there's forest floor, but behind that there's a sort of quite a rich, floral perfume coming through. There aren't quite mushroom notes, but you're starting to get touches, edges of that alongside these sort of really quite bright, vivacious red fruit and floral perfumes. So as well as you're getting sort of notes of quite strong perfumes like peonies and things like that, there are notes of cranberry and red currant hints as well. So there's plenty going on in there, relatively pronounced. Obviously no oak notes or any sort of the associated spices that you get with that. So let's have a taste. As I suspected, from the outset there's quite a nice freshness. Given that we're in southern Italy, it's not harsh or sharp, but there is good crispness to balance quite rich fruit. There's a very firm tannin that's coming in quite quickly, very firm, very fine. And one might almost think that there was a touch of woodiness in there. Now, maceration here goes on for about 2 to 3 weeks, so there is time to extract a little bit of tannin from the pips. I think that's probably where this sort of slightly dusty grip is coming from, slightly woody note. But in general, the fruit is quite open. You're getting a lovely, rich, red sort of, I suppose it's a plummy fruit. It's a slightly darker red plum. It's rich, it's juicy. The wine actually seems quite light-bodied. While it has a good structure, those tannins aren't heavy or thick. I think the freshness shows through there completely. Again, I think it's a sign of the fact that you've got this good diurnal variation, and the alcohol is not too high. So those cool nights are enabling the fruit to attain its ripeness without getting too much alcohol. This is 13.5% according to its label, and you don't feel a particular hotness on the mid or back palate. There's a little bit of warmth, just enough to give it a little bit of roundness. And actually it's at the back palate that you're starting to see the sort of slight bitterness to the tannins, giving a bit of sort of licoricey note on the fruit. And that's actually reasonably firm, dense, black fruit there that lasts quite nicely to a sort of a fresh, elegant finish. It's not quite graphite-like in the way that a wine would have been oaked might be, but there's something in that sort of intense licoriciness that's lasting really quite nice. I think this is a well-balanced wine. It gets a wine searcher average score of 88 for this vintage, and most vintages of this wine do. So I don't think there's a huge quality variation between vintages. And I think perhaps the score reflects the fact that without oaking, it perhaps lacks a layer of complexity that would take it much above sort of 88, 89, 90 as far as a score is concerned. I do, however, think that for the sort of price that this is normally to be found at, this is offering some really good value for money. It's a wine that has a little bit of age. It's got enough structure that I'm sure that would age for another 4 or 5 years if you wanted to, but there's no need to. There's a sort of a smoothness and a freshness that makes it very drinkable. Now, there's enough structure that will interplay very nicely with fattiness in foods, and enough acidity to cut through sauces and things like that. So yes, I think really nice value wine that delivers to a good level, and I think that's reflected in the score it gets. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. It'd be fantastic to have your support. If you have friends you think would like to watch the video, please do forward it to them. It would be fantastic to see it being shared widely. I'll leave a link in the notes below to our page for this vintage of this wine on the Wine Searcher website. You'll be able to find out more about pricing, its availability, and a little more of its background via the various tabs on that page. If you have any comments, please leave those in the comments box below. We'd love to hear what you think about this wine, other wines we're talking about, and the tastings we're doing. It'd be fantastic to have your feedback. Whatever you do though, please do try and find some time and come and join us for another tasting in the near future, won't you? Thanks again. Bye for now.